All right, everyone. Hello and welcome back to the Cup Chasers podcast. The Premier League season is upon us, and we are here for the season preview. So if you are as excited about all of the action coming up, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and get that notification bell on. All right, away we go. We're going to start with our top 8 predictions for the season. Who's going to finish up top of the table? The way I want to do it is we'll start. We'll go through the top 4. We'll list them off, and then we'll have our discussion. So I'll kick us off. In first place, got to back the boys. The Arsenal. First. They got to do it. What are you saying, Lewis?
Who I have in first?
Yeah. Kel Surprise, right?
What? 4, sir. 4 in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Nottingham Forest in first place. Got it. Okay. Lewis picks
4.
Forest.
4
All right, next. What you saying? I can see it in your eyes.
Chelsea, bro.
Chelsea, yeah. Uh-huh.
All day.
You really backing Chelsea to win? You want me to put that on the
Actually,
table?
honestly, I am, and I'll have a reason why. Because the last time we finished mid-table, we came back with a vengeance, and everyone said, "Oh yeah, y'all ain't gonna do it. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing." Then we won the
Want me
league.
to put that on the table?
Yes.
You're crazy. Okay. Hey, it's done. In stone. That's written down. What you saying?
Thaddeus Shield gets healthy here soon, bro. Chelsea's going to win the league. We're good. We got our defense.
Right. What are you saying, Patrick?
I'm going City.
Blasphemous.
Second place for me was Manchester City. Lewis?
This one was actually interesting, and I have logic behind it. We'll explain it later. Newcastle.
Wow. Okay. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. What you saying, X?
So I got City going second.
City in second place. All right. Makes sense. Patrick?
Arsenal.
The Arsenal. All right. Third place. I had a long thunk about this one. I said Liverpool. What you think, Lewis?
I have Arsenal.
Arsenal in third place. X?
I'll go Pool.
Liverpool. Lots of Arsenal hate from Xavier. All right, Patrick?
I'm going to go Pool because, they're going to get Caicedo, and that's going to change that whole team.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It sucks because I made my picks before that news came out.
Oh, I mean,
now change it, though.
All right. I said Manchester United would get fourth place this season. What you saying, Lewis?
Again, I got a feeling. Villa.
Aston Villa. I love this top 4 from Lewis. Nice.
I didn't use logos.
All right, X.
See, this one was tough for me. Because I struggled not putting them third. But I want to say United.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Look how far he's got Arsenal dropping down the table.
Only I don't think y'all are going to stay healthy. And y'all have a bunch.
Whatever.
A bunch more games than you had this season.
All right, Patrick.
I went with Villa.
Aston Villa coming in fourth place. All right. We'll start at the top. I guess I'll go since we got 2 cities, 1 Chelsea and 1 Arsenal. I think, first of all, we must. That's the pressure. And secondly, we've added to the team. And I think, contrary to what Xavier says, if we do stay healthy, especially Saliba, I think we can definitely mount a title charge. But I think it's just going to come down to beating City, like in the games we play against them. At the very least, week 9 or week 8. It's early in the season. And if you look back at last season, when we were flying at the beginning of the year and City were struggling, our game got canceled. So who knows if that game would have been played in October instead of 3 weeks in front of the second game. So, supposing Arsenal can actually defeat City at least once in the league, I think we can. We got the experience. We've experienced that pressure now, so I think we can handle it. I think we're going to go on, and I think we're going to do it. Do your treble winners need any justification, Lewis?
I think this year is going to be a very different year because it's the sort of the spine is different, and I think so. You're going to see guys do different things. Pep, Kyle Walker, I think it was Kyle Walker. One of the guys said Pep intentionally changes the system every year. So early in the season, they'll be trying to figure it out. Sort of the Vardiol purchase, it matters and plays into why they're doing that. And if they get Paqueta, I think that'll play a role in there as well. So, but I think they'll actually start better this year than they normally do because there's no pressure in the same way.
All right, X, let's hear them. Chelsea's going to win the league.
Yeah, man. I mean, I believe in what Posh is trying to do. We have a good core group of young guys. I think that if they get the right inspiration, they can run it deep. And even with the injuries we have, we're gonna recoup Shield, we'll recoup Christopher and Kunku. Jackson can
Eddie
easily.
is back in training, by the way.
That's awesome. Yeah, so that's quicker than late September. And Kunku will be a little further out than his initial late September. Yeah, it's like 4 now instead of 2. But here's my thing, man. Christopher Jackson can play that role.
Nicholas Jackson.
Or Nicholas Jackson, I'm sorry, yeah. Nicholas Jackson can play that role. And I think Mudrick has the opportunity now to step up into his New Jersey number. He's wearing the 10 for us. He's got a lot of heart. He shows the hustle. But I believe what Pochettino is trying to do here, we have a manager that can actually employ tactics. This team isn't, the club isn't too far from grace. While we went through Potter, which I thought was just an in shambles managerial choice. You can say what you want to about Tuchel before he left. Again, tactically, he's one of the best in the world. And I think with his new addition, it's going to be dangerous in the Champions League. Glad we're not there this year. But
I feel a little irony coming, but
when we have a manager that can do this, can inspire the younger guys, can build a new spine, they have something to prove. We had a shambles last season. Every time history does this to us, we usually come back and win something big, and we make a name for ourselves, and we say, no, we're still here. And I want to see that kind of history repeat itself because it's in our culture to bounce back this way. We look at the recent past, look at 2013, look at the seasons where we finished 8th and 12th and we won the Champions League. We come back next year, win the Europa. We come back the year after that, win the league. We have these rebuilding moments and we rubber band. And I want to see that. I would like to see that again. If it's not first, I want to make it, again, just show them we're here still. And I think Pochettino wants to do that at the club. I think the owners want to do that at the club. I don't see why you would pour $1 billion into something you don't want to succeed in that manner. It's just if you're a fan of the club, you kind of have to hold out that hope. And Pochettino is not a joke as a manager. We brought in jokes. Like Frank Lampard is a legend in the club, not a good manager. Again, might be good for the club, but he's not a good manager. Graham Potter, again, corporate, nice guy, weekends off, pool parties on training day. Not a good manager, and he's not tactically sound. And we finally brought that back to us, and it's kind of an ode to what we lost. We lost managers that had that, and we have that in our history. And I want to see us bounce back and make a staple because we have all the tools at our disposal. Now there really is no excuse other than maybe future injuries. I'm worried about Silva's health. I'm worried about that back line staying healthy. But if Badiashile comes in, it gives Silva a little bit of downtime and time to bounce back. And with that workload he's going to have to experience, because they're going to come for everything domestic. We're going to gun for everything domestic. We have to go for every cup. We have to go
we're not in anything else.
Right. So there's no excuse. That's what I'm saying. There is no excuse.
No excuse. Well, there you go. You heard it first. Chelsea to win the league. Anything to add on City's chances, Patrick? Or you think they're just going to be too?
I mean, again, I was reading that no club has ever won 4 in a row. I can see Pep rallying around that for sure. Again, unless De Bruyne is out for the season, I think that they're still too strong. Pep's solidified that back line. If Ederson starts shipping goals, he'll just go right to Ortega because he knows that Ortega is a shot stopper. So I think it's going to be harder to beat City this year, even with everybody that's left, because we were talking about Rodri not having the ability to get forward and all that because of Kova, but I don't see Kova starting a lot. I see him subbing on, but I don't see him starting a lot. So Rodri's still going to have that freedom to get forward, to control the game, and I think honestly, if you look at the guys that have been talked back into staying, Walker, Silva, there's a reason why they're going after something, because they could have left just like Gundogan, but they're going after something. So, and until someone shows me differently, Pep's the best manager in the world. I fully expect him to get him up and rolling like he did last year.
Well, there you go. And you have Arsenal, the Chasers.
Yeah, my thing is I think y'all strengthen. I do worry about how you respond to Saka being taken away, or Saka being taken away. Also, I'm interested to see what you do in the 9 position. Are you really going to roll with Havertz until
It's gonna hurt.
Jesus comes back?
I think that's gonna hurt you.
If you do, then I think that will be a problem. If you go with Trossard, I think that would be different. I think that y'all would be a lot more lethal. I do think that, and I said this many podcasts before, I'm interested to see the next step for Arteta, because now y'all are being chased. And when you were really being chased, there were some cracks being shown, not only in the performance by the players, but in tactics. And I'm interested to see how Arteta fix those issues. And that's one reason why I've got y'all in second, because I'm still not 100% sold on Arteta being to the level that would be able to show growth in the team outside of change of personnel. And I also think you missed Xhaka. As crazy as that sounds, I think you're going to miss him. Even though you have Rice, I think you will miss him.
I could agree with that. Let me ask you this. Are we closer to City or Liverpool at the end of the season?
I think you're closer to City.
Fair enough.
You're closer to City.
And
We'll get into Liverpool, but I flipped my 5th place position because I was originally going to be Pool until they landed Caicedo. I think he's going to be a huge difference maker for them.
That's big. I also think it'll be Arsenal, City, real close to the end. But Lewis, Newcastle, making a run.
Yeah. Well, part of my, I was talking to my friend who is a Liverpool supporter. He lives in Leicester, which I guess is a strange sort of thing. And he asked me what my top 4 was, and I said, I think Newcastle will finish second because I think they're going to go out of Champions League early. Like I don't think they'll do well in Champions League. I think the consensus thing that I've heard is that their squad depth is lacking for Champions League. I think they're a team that's for domestic. So I think what's going to happen is they're going to do what City did when City started to kind of go into their ascendancy with their money. The City focused on the domestic stuff. They sucked in Europe early. Like if you look, they went out in the group stages the first 3 years they were in Champions League. And they were good. Their team on paper was better than everybody except like maybe the juggernaut team that was in there. So they should have been going through, and they were getting put out every year. And so I think Newcastle is going to build sort of that way where they're going to try. I think they're going to try in Europe, but I think what will happen is once they're out of Europe, which is generally November, then you start to shift gears. And I think at that point, I think Arsenal will still be in Europe. I think Arsenal will probably win their group. Even I think they're going to get a hard group, but I think they'll win their group because they're going to go so hard to prove themselves there. And I think that'll affect their league positioning, which is why I don't have them in second either. And because of that, I think it'll be like the sort of the opposite of what Arsenal did, where they kind of was like, well, let's focus on the league. I think Newcastle will do the same, but I think they'll do it with the idea of to rise themselves where they should have been, or where they could be. And I think they have enough to finish number 2 in the league. If they don't have any other competitions to worry about, and they can run that, they're starting, sort of 11 plus 4 out there. They're the second. They could be the second best team in the league. And that's not to say anything about Arsenal. I just think Arsenal will be spread more this year than they were last year, because I think they will take those other competitions seriously, which will affect their league position.
I have a question for you, though. You talking about them going out in the group stage. Wouldn't they possibly fall into Europa, though?
But that's where my City comparison comes again, because City twice, when they went out, they didn't even make Europa. Like they didn't make it at all. And I don't think it'll be like they'll get 0 points. I think it'll be one of those groups where it'll be a tight group and they'll be fourth, but everybody will like have points. So right. I think they'll probably win a game and then either lose or catch some draws, and it'll be a goofy 4th place.
There's no way they're coming in 4th in Champions League, man.
You don't know the groups.
Any of those pot 4 teams at St. James's Park are going to struggle.
Well, but
every single team in the Premier League struggles at St. James's Park. Every single team struggles there. So Maccabi Haifa is going to struggle at St. James's Park.
I hear you until they struggle there. They haven't been in Europe in forever, and I think that affects them. I think they don't end up in Europa. I think they end up 4th in their group, because I think they're going to get a tough group, because I think they'll get the group of death.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And like for example, I just look at like Shakhtar is no joke. I think Shakhtar could give them hell, where you don't have to beat them there, because that's the big issue. You don't have to beat them there.
Just have them drop points.
Yep. And that's all I'm saying. I like I said, I don't think it'll be where they don't get any points. I think they'll win a game, but I think that it's going to be a big stage. The pressure will be there, and I think there'll be teams, there'll be a juggernaut that'll be in their group, so they'll probably get somebody like Real Madrid with
it'll be PSG, Bayern, Shakhtar, Newcastle.
Sounds right to me.
They'll be fine. PSG is not gonna. Well, they're keeping Mbappe.
Well, they lose Neymar.
Lose Neymar, or they might lose Neymar.
So that'll Neymar and Verratti and a bunch of other people.
Well, that
pushes buying guys
for the City. What?
PSG has been buying guys. I'm not ready to judge any teams in Europe until
we see
the end of the window.
Yeah, August 31st is that draw. Well, that pushes Arsenal to 3rd for you. The rest of us have Liverpool in 3rd, and for me, it's they're going to score mad goals, but they're going to give mad goals, and it's going to be a lot of fun watching them this season.
I mean, I agree.
They might not skip the midfield as much. I might tweak them a little bit, actually, and they might be even a little bit better, to be honest.
Yeah, I fully expect him to strengthen them in the midfield.
Plus, knows McAllister.
He's worked with McAllister, so that should be a good. But yeah, I mean, I truly think that he is going to be a difference maker for them. I think that he will bring a calming presence, especially as a deep lying playmaker. And Liverpool hasn't had that in a while. You had Fabinho, you had Henderson, you even had Thiago. Naby Keita was supposed to be, but he never really became one. So I think that whole midfield of Liverpool is going to be interesting with Slepszeski and McAllister and that's Caicedo. I mean,
Szoboszlai, Alexander will invert.
Yeah, Alexander will be in the midfield.
McAllister, decent. That's why I got him in 3rd, as well. So another interesting one for fourth place, Patrick and Lewis have said Aston Villa.
That's
I love
wild.
it. I love that pick. What do we think? What are we telling me? Give me some evidence. Back that one up.
You want to go
Please.
first? Or me. I'll go first. Okay. First off, I think they've been fantastic in the window.
Mhm.
I think that Diaby is going to be a problem for teams, especially with what they have up front already returning. I did see that Boenda, I think his name was, he's out for 3 months. I believe.
Buendia.
Yeah. He's out for 3 months. They're going to lose Emi Martinez, but that's probably addition by subtraction just because he's been such a distraction.
Yeah.
The thing about Unai Emery, he has a system. Once his teams start playing that system, they look really strong. I know that they're in Europe, right? They're in Europa, right?
They are going to absolutely destroy the Conference League.
Oh, Conference League, yeah.
They're
So
gonna
I mean,
wreck the Conference League.
they will destroy Conference League. I think they've got good depth. They've got a good manager, great players. I don't see why they wouldn't be top 4.
Fair enough. Anything to add, Lewis?
No, I when I was looking at sort of the statistics of their growth, they've improved every single year, and it's like significant improvement. The funny thing is that, like, for example, with the Caicedo thing to Liverpool, where I would have put Liverpool in this spot if obviously I had known, but I still think Villa is going to push for fourth. I just Emery has shown that it doesn't matter who he has. It really doesn't. Like, I feel like he wasn't given enough time in some of the other places he was in to sort of enact his philosophy. Like, he's going to have guys that you're going to be like, who is that guy? And that he's going to basically do like kind of like what Brighton did with a lot of players, and they're going to be legit good, man. It's this one is about the manager more than anything else.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, X, you hate United. You hate Manchester United, but you got them fourth. What are you thinking?
I mean, it's just honestly, it's out of respect for Ten Hag. I think he is a manager United kind of needed in this moment, and I think that they have added to. I think they're all trash. I do, but
Hey,
know,
they're the
you ha-
greatest team that's ever played.
yeah, you have to. I mean, there's something to be said with what they're trying to build over there. If United get a prolific striker, they're dangerous.
You think Rasmus Holland Light is about to cook?
No.
They got rid of Fred.
No, the
And
great value.
They got rid
The
of
great
yeah, they got rid of
value.
Fred.
Wire, man, they're
The
making
great
moves.
value Holland is not going to. It's just, and that's the one piece they're kind of missing. I mean, we've struggled with that for years over at our club, so I'm not really like throwing shade on that regard. I'm saying that is a puzzle piece. If they fix, they're dangerous. They have a defensive line minus Harry Maguire. Look at their defenders. The midfield they have, Casemiro is washed. I think he's washed, but he performed last season. Stats for stats, center defensive mid, he put in work. He put in a great Premier League season. I don't think Mason Mount's going to gel very well at the beginning of this. He's going to catch a lot of hate. But again, Mason's one of those players, if you cook with him and you build with him and you work with him, as you saw with Tuchel in the Chelsea system, introducing him to it, allowing him to grow, he can produce. We've seen him do it. He can do it. I hate that he's over there. I don't want him to do it. I would rather him not get off the bus. But, is what it is. And even coming still, they didn't give up a lot of goals last season. And it's hard to say that because, again, I don't like seeing a United resurgence, but Ten Hag has turned it around.
I agree with you. For the same, I got them in fourth place, and it's definitely because of Ten Hag and the tactics. I think that their counterattacking style that I've finally accepted is what they're going to be doing. Is going to really cause some teams some issues. I think if they can get Rashford back into form, I think that they will be just fine.
Yep.
And all right, we'll go on to the next 4. I'll kick us off. I have Newcastle in 5th place. What are you telling me, Lewis?
United.
United. All right. X.
Arsenal.
Oh, so we finally made it on your table, huh?
Europa.
Europa League back in the
that would be Europa League.
No, that'll be Champions League.
It'd be
Yeah,
Champions League.
It is Champions League.
Yeah.
What do you think, Patrick? 5th place.
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Seriously, I flipped Chelsea from 3 to 5 because they're not getting Caicedo. Like that's how big of a change it is for me.
And we'll go right back to you for 6th.
I went with United.
United.
I'll explain why. when we
Live with
get
that.
to
I
it.
got Aston Villa in 6th place. Lewis?
Ooh.
Whoa.
Liverpool. And X?
Newcastle.
Newcastle to finish.
Klopp doesn't survive if they make it to 6.
No.
No, he wouldn't make
No.
you thinking.
No, definitely not. Patrick, 7th place.
Newcastle.
Newcastle coming in at 7th place. I have the Blues of London, Chelsea in 7th place. Lewis?
Same here, Chelsea.
Chelsea.
Disrespectful.
We're never giving him the respect you did. What you got in 7th place?
Disrespectful.
I'm gonna
Brighton
guess.
guys.
I think I
No,
know
it's
what to say.
I have Villa in 7th.
There it is. I knew you'd make the right choice. All right. I think
Then
that's gonna
Brighton.
be
Then Brentford. Yeah.
all of our 8th place the same. What you saying, Patrick?
I went with Brighton.
Brighton.
Yeah.
As did I, Lewis.
Yeah.
Burnley.
No way.
Wow.
Dude, that's a joke, right?
I'm dead serious. I put Burnley.
That is.
Have they been able to replace all the people they got on loan last year to get them promoted?
Burnley.
They're gonna do just fine. 8th place is that's phenomenal. What are you saying, X? Burnley?
No, I put Brighton 8th.
Right. Yeah.
After the raid, they're not gonna. And I have a whole reason for all of these as well. I think it's
We'll
one of
kick
these
it off,
black.
man. Kick it off.
It's one of these black. So last year is one of these black hole seasons. We saw Liverpool fall. You saw United stumble. You saw Chelsea not show up to any game since past September. They just quit. They got their 21. They got their 18 points first 3 weeks of the season. They were like, you know what, we're not getting relegated, so the rest of it's over. Or chances are of us getting relegated. But anyway, it's one of those things where you saw Brighton excel, you saw Newcastle excel, you saw all these Villa hit a resurgence late season. You saw Arsenal come in second, and I do like what Arteta's building. I think it's one of those moments where you capitalized on being good, and you are good enough to be here. You're good enough to compete at those levels, but no one else showed up to that ring but you at City. Is how I truly feel about last season. United didn't take it serious for a large majority of that season.
But
And
they
then
were up for the quad.
They tried to resurge. They tried to resurge when they were up for the quad. And you see Newcastle flying high because no one's there to knock them. There's no one there to push the mid-table to where it was supposed to be. Because we took a walk in the park. We thought everyone was like, oh, it's Chelsea. They're supposed to win. And we showed up every week and acted like that. We saw United do it. We saw Liverpool hit this big lull in their season where they couldn't get it right. I know injuries were a big issue for us and Pool. We're in the kind of the same boat. We didn't get the same rap, but we're in the same boat as Liverpool. They just kept their manager. We didn't. And, so it looks like more, and their owner, and granted, but ours looks like a bigger dumpster fire. But player for player and injury for injury, it's, again, each team looking like Swiss cheese, and we have these other teams that are looking great. I don't think they're going to be that. They're not that great. When we come up against these teams full strength, we win. When we have tactics on our side, we win. And so does Arsenal. So does United. So does Liverpool. I don't think Newcastle is going to be competing because they do. They have other things to worry about, and I don't think they're going to compete in the league. Brighton got rated. Again, talk about Swiss cheese.
That begs the question of your list. Why Newcastle over Villa?
Because Newcastle is resurging as a whole, both monetarily and from top to bottom, they have remade their entire structure. Villa was a blip, it was a white hot blip right at the end when Unai came in and changed it around. But I disagree with Villa being what they are, because if Unai couldn't do it at places like Arsenal, he's definitely not going to be able to do it at places like Villa. And I think, again, you are going to see these other teams who have the money, who have the front and back office, who have the academy, like Chelsea, like Poole, like United. We're not going to stay down. We might be down again this season. We're not going to stay down with a manager like Posh. They're not going to stay down with a manager like Klopp. They're not going to stay down with a manager like Ten Hag. So I don't see them competing and being on these. I think it's one of those shooting star moments. It's a blip on the radar because no one else showed up and they capitalized on those moments. And kudos to them. They get to go to Europe. They get to go build a fan base and go to stadiums that they've never played in before. That's awesome for them. And I'm happy for them because they capitalized on it. But I don't see it happening again because we did our homework. So did Liverpool. And that's why everybody's worried about Caicedo going to either us or Liverpool. I don't think it's that big of a bit. I don't think he's $100 million. I don't think he's a dynasty building midfielding player. I don't think he's the next N'Golo Kante. I don't think it's $100 million loss for us. I don't see that. I think it's $100 million that we can keep in our pocket. We'll buy someone just as good. The man's 22. He's only played 2 seasons. Yes, he looks good. Yes, he can run like a gazelle. But we saw the same thing in a young Loftus-Cheek, and it takes one injury to take that away. It takes one bad season to take that away.
And you probably get Lavia, who's only 19.
Right. And we just loaned out. Hall stayed. He just re-signed his contract. He's probably going to get loaned out.
He got loaned to Crystal Palace today.
He did get loaned to Crystal Palace. Nice. And then Casady, he got loaned out as well. He's 19.
Leicester.
Right. And he's going to go play a ton of games in the Champions. I don't like Leicester, but you know what? If you're going to go play 60 games, you're going to learn. You have to learn something. And we have those in the win. So I think if not losing Caicedo, again, it might not put us top 3, top 4 this season because our midfield is our issue.
Hey man, no. You said you're winning the league.
We are going to win the league because I believe what Pochettino is trying to do. I do
believe it. You believe it. Don't
right.
say we might be 3rd or 4th.
No. I'm saying Caicedo's. I don't think Caicedo's that difference. I don't think Caicedo's the difference from 1st to 3rd. I think he can be, but I don't think that's the crux that's going to take the wind out of our sails this season. Now, if we lose another freaking central back in the next 6 weeks,
or if Enzo gets injured,
I mean, you're looking at the same thing we looked at last season, where it's 2 guys went down, we lost Chile and James. There goes your season.
That's still the same for this season.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Which brings us to why Chelsea over United, Patrick.
Well, I would say first off, a lot of the stuff that I've read about Chelsea in regards to the different attitude, the different way the players are not only training but playing. I read something today. I think it was with Chilwell, and he was talking about how all 11 players are expected to run and to press. And to, it's not just sit back and you start seeing some of these guys being let go and you're like, well, they didn't really press. That makes sense. I.e. Kai Havertz. But I think that attitude, along with only having one game a week outside of domestic cups, it will be sustainable, especially because Chelsea's still looking to sign about 3 more players. They just signed Tyler Adams today, and it's got to be the most unheralded transfer ever for Chelsea.
That's going to be a good signing too.
But it's going to be a good signing. He's going to press. He's going to put a lot of pressure, and he'll cover on defense.
Maybe I should change my most Reds player with Tyler Adams going back.
Oh, mine's Casemiro. So,
but no, and I think we've got somebody who can put the ball in the back of the net, which was at times the main issue last year. You go back and look at the defense. The defense is staying the same. We may have a new goalkeeper, but if Kepa goes to Real or Bayern. But the defense is the same. Now, of course, Silva is a year older, but we've bought people for him. We've got Colwell back. You're going to have Badia Shield soon back. We're probably keeping Shalabah still. And then we signed DeSassi, who, knock on wood, has no injury record. So, you know.
You can't be saying things like that. Yeah, you better knock on
But
that
I
wood.
will also say, we have someone who can back up Reece James this year if he were to get injured. I think Malo Gusto as a defender is potentially better than Reece as a defender.
That's massive. Because honestly, realistically, do you expect James to play 38 games this season?
I think he plays 75% of the season.
No.
And you'll be lucky and happy to get that.
Yeah.
I would be happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. For my part,
I'm happy he's got the armband.
Yeah, you just got to stay healthy. For my part, I think that I like the Chelsea project. Excuse me, the rebuild. So I think they're going to be just fine. Brighton are going to struggle with Europa League, which is why I have them in 8th. And I think Newcastle Villa will be right there for 5 and 6. But the one we're all wondering about, Lewis, Burnley, 8th place. Let's hear it.
Well, I was looking, and Burnley is going to play the style that City plays, right? Because Company has basically done that. So they're going to sit back, they'll soak up, but then when they come, they're going to come. So they're going to try to have possession, so that those mid-table teams and below are going to have issues with them. And I think they'll be able to do really well with them against the mid-table teams.
Mm-hmm.
And just looking at, just stylistically, I think they'll be fine. Because if we think about Burnley before, when they were in the Prem, they were a problem for people when they were in the Prem. Like with different managers, they were always like going there was always a challenge. So it's like
that was Sean Dice.
Turf Moor is no fun.
I mean, Turbo is no fun, but that was Sean Dice too.
Yeah,
and they were built on just hacking the crap out of you.
I think it'll be different with Company though.
Yeah, I do too.
And so it's just looking at the fact that the aura of the place exists. Teams take on the characteristics of the manager, and I think Company is that guy. It's the reason why I looked at Villa being 4th. I just think that the manager really matters. And I think even though Burnley, I don't think they're going to get smoked the first game either. I mean, I know they play City first. I think it'll probably be like a 2-1, 3-1 thing that they'll show up, because this is not like the end of the season last year's City in form game. So I think they'll show up, and I think that will be enough where, yeah, they'll lose the first game, but I think that'll propel them forward. Because, I mean, every manager, and you can go find them all, every manager who's managed under Pep, their team has overachieved in the initial stages, every one of them. And I just think 8th is not too high, because, I mean, if we look at, that's almost mid-table. So, I mean, the difference between last year between 7 and 11 was like very small. And I think it's enough where they'll be able to hold themselves, where you get your 3 at home against all of the mid-table, and you try to get a draw or got battered against, the top 4 guys. And then you get a draw, and they're going to steal games on the road from some of these teams that don't expect it. I think that just the fact that like, even though they lost players, the number of points they were able to accumulate in the championship was a big deal. That mentality doesn't leave you. Like, even if you're interchanging people stylistically, the manager and the board that is helping get these players are looking for what he wants. So they're going to bring in who he wants. And to think 8th from a team that had 100 points is impossible, seems unrealistic to not see them do well. So I think they'll at the end of the season, because, I mean, a lot of times when we make these predictions, we're looking at early on. And I'm talking about the marathon. And I think the marathon, they're able to find a couple of runs. They'll probably have 2-3 runs in the season, and I think it'll put them in 8th place.
So you'll think they'll be like last year's Fulham?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So can they beat Fulhams? Can they beat the Palace?
I think they can.
I think they can.
I
think they can. Yeah. I know you asked about United, why I have them behind Chelsea. I think that Rashford doesn't replicate what he did last year.
Mm.
I mean, if you remember, he came from the World Cup and he was on fire. I think he scored in 6 straight games or something like that.
Something like that.
You know, so I don't think he finds that. I think that they try to force Hall Lun, or Hall Yun, or whatever his name is. Hoyland. There we go. Hoyland. I think they try to force Hoyland into being the guy, and that causes problems for them to score. I don't think that Mount really fits in that team in general. I think we start to see Casemiro fall off in the midfield. So I mean, they still have talent. I'm not saying they don't. You still got, Fernandez, who will for sure get penalties for them. The way. Huh?
He's got the armband now as well.
Yeah, he's got the armband and everything now. So I think that while Ten Hag's a good manager, I think that there's some pieces still don't really fit, and until they do, it's gonna be tough for them. Also, I'm interested if he tries to force Hoyland into the 10 role that he did with what's his face?
Veggie. Oh, Wout Weghorst.
Weghorst, yeah. I'm interested to see if he tries to force that.
Did he go
back to Burnley? Yeah.
There you go. Maybe Weghorst will be taking the Burnley charge up to 8th place like he couldn't do for United. But speaking of horrible charges, we'll head to the other end of the table, and we'll go ahead and start at the very bottom. I'll kick us off with Sheffield United in 20th place. They've lost they've lost their 2 best players. They haven't really brought anybody in. It's looking pretty doom and gloom to my eyes. What you saying, Lewis?
Luton Town.
Luton Town. I'm not sure how that's actually supposed to be pronounced. But
One of the two. I got
Luton.
you.
Mm-hmm.
X has Luton as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have Luton too.
It's gracious.
I read an article on The Athletic today, and it talks about when these teams get promoted, they have to make a decision. Do they take their knocks this year, not spend any money, so that they can bounce back the next year and actually build after they go through the championship again? Because, we were talking about on the last pod, all that money that comes in. I mean, Luton Town's having to make changes to their stadium. So they're not even be able to invest in the team because they got to change things for the stadium. So that's one reason why. But it was an interesting read. If you do have The Athletic, I recommend go reading it. But it talks about how, when Southampton came back up, it was because they went down and they hadn't spent any money. And then once they got back up, they had all that money to be able to actually make some moves and have some semblance of survival for a good bit. What was it, like 3-4 years?
They were in there for Southampton. Southampton were in the league for 8 straight seasons.
Oh wow, yeah. So I mean,
Southampton were in the league for like 8 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And for all of those reasons, I have Luton Town in 19th. What you saying, Lewis?
I have whatever. I have not Forest. Nottingham Forest. Yeah.
Forest. Really?
Yeah.
There you go. I like it. X?
I put Sheffield here.
Fields. And Patrick.
West Ham.
Wow. All right. I like that too. West Ham. All right. In 18th place, the last team to get relegated, the Wolverhampton Wandering Wolves. Lewis?
I have Sheffield.
X?
Forest.
Yeah, no love for Forest.
Not after what they should have got relegated last season, man. They got so lucky. The Foxes.
Fulham.
Wow. That's a shout right there.
I mean, I don't know if y'all watched them in the summer series, but that looked like a team that had no clue what they were doing.
Guess who's playing up top on Saturday?
Who, Mitro?
Mitrovic. So maybe he ain't gone after all.
We'll see.
That's what Marco Silva's press conference for the game. He said that Mitrovic is fit and available.
I also think that they don't have any depth whatsoever.
They just bought Raul Jimenez.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
That's part of why I think Wolves is tanked. They sold Jimenez. They sold Ruben Neves.
I did sell Neves.
They haven't
Swiss
brought
cheese.
anyone in. They Lopetegui didn't get fired. He left because they weren't bringing anybody in. And so
Yeah, they told him that he couldn't buy older players, that he could buy younger players. And then when he went to go buy younger players, he's like, no, you can't buy younger players.
And so they bring in Gary O'Neill, who credit to him, but he has experience of being stressed every second of every day because they damn near got relegated.
Yeah, you convinced me. I'll go with Wolves instead of Fulham.
You sure? I mean, I'll give you the chance to change it up.
If Feature were to leave, yes, I would still stick with Fulham, but he may be staying, so we'll go.
He may be staying, but he may be leaving. Don't let me sway you. I'm just giving my points for.
I just totally forgot about the absolute chaos that's Wolves, and the funny thing about it is we're not even talking about Everton.
Yeah, I think they're gonna be,
and they're in trouble too.
They're down there. They're down there.
They're down there for sure.
They're down there.
It could be for me. It could be Forest. It could be Wolves. It could be. I mean, I guess Fulham are in free fall as well. It could be Everton. It could be West Ham.
It could be Brentford.
Without Tony, Brentford are going to start. Yeah, I mean, it's just like last season. There's a bottom 7 that are just like, ooh.
Yeah, it's a big gap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll go with Wolves.
Wolves. Okay.
That was you convinced me because I forgot about all of that chaos. Wow.
Yeah, there's nothing good going on at Wolves right now. Tell me about Forest, Lewis.
It's basically like what X said. They should have got relegated last year. They're not supposed to be here now. And I do see the chaos at Wolves, but I just think it's that the Band-Aid that they had on there.
They brought in Super Matty Turner to replace Keylor Navas.
So he can get more goals scored against them because it's not going to matter.
Hey, he's going to get lots of practice. Hey, as far as U.S. fans are concerned, getting lots of practice.
Yeah. Well, this is my thoughts on Forest. They went through kind of a Chelsea thing, not in the sense of like Chelsea, they were kind of like Chelsea where they didn't have a plan. They were just like, oh, let's buy this guy and let's buy that guy. They really haven't spent much in this transfer window, if I recall. So I think Steve Cooper's got, it's Steve Cooper there, right? Yeah.
It's going to be the same kind of pressure all season long. It's
going to be a lot of pressure, but I think that there's going to be some semblance of an actual, remember that striker that they had at the end of the year who really started to come on, huh?
Awanyi. He's still
yeah, he's a beast. So I think that they went the other direction. They spent all their money to try to stay up.
Bournemouth could go down. Jeez, yeah.
Oh yeah, Bournemouth are in shambles.
Bournemouth could go down, but they made a couple good signings here recently.
Yeah, but their manager is very unproven. He's very young. I think he's coming in to be the youngest manager in the league. Nice. It's going to be, yeah. I just think that Bournemouth are going to be helped by the fact that other teams are going to be worse.
Luton came in and they're worse.
Sheffield
is going to be bad.
Sheffield's
bad. I'm gonna because we've for Luton. How many games do they win this year? How many games? 1,
3,
6. 1. Do you see them beating anyone? Because I don't see them beating anybody.
I think they could beat West Ham.
I feel like they could beat. I feel like they could give Sheffield a run for their money, Forest a run for their money. Maybe Bournemouth on a bad day run for their money.
The thing is, like Bournemouth won't score at Kenilworth. Sheffield won't score. Wolves won't score. Like Luton might get some 0-0ers. They might eke out some 0-0ers. I watched their semifinal. Or no, I watched their playoff final because they won the playoff final in penalties. I watched that. They were very, very like physical, and they pressed pretty well, and they real tight, real kind of a not as low of a block as I would have expected. But I think it's going to be lower versus teams like City, Arsenal, the better teams in the league. But yeah, I think some teams are going to struggle to score against them. But you know, I also think that you might see a 9-0 Liverpool at Anfield, like Bournemouth.
I can see it.
I don't.
Well,
I'm
like
struggling
Bayern
to
did,
see
what was it,
wins.
36-3 or something like that over the
37.
Well, over three matches, they won 27-2. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah,
Sheffield,
that's
man,
stupid.
Sheffield have lost their two best players. They have not replaced them. Um, it's not looking good. I heard one take from a guy on YouTube, some of the content I was listening to, saying Sheffield will be the worst Premier League team in history. Derby County got 20 points, or yeah, 11 points. I think they got 11 points. And he's calling Sheffield to be worse than that.
I mean, Luton, they just signed Ross Barkley. I mean, and that's a big signing for them.
For them, yeah, that's big.
And you're just like, I expected y'all to get some guys that are on the fringe, but not Ross Barkley.
Right?
I mean, come on.
You couldn't have rated Leicester or
Yeah. Getting you
or
James
Leeds?
Madison or something?
Go get Brendan Aronson.
Yeah.
But you got to think about it. So you got guys who were relegated that didn't even give them a look.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to see wins at all.
It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good.
It'll be fun to see a match, if a match is played there, just because it's a unique stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we do have some other predictions to get into. First up, pretty obvious. We'll start with the Golden Boot. And as much as I didn't want to do this, I feel like my answer is super obvious. And I think if all four of our answers are the same, we might do a besides Holland.
I actually have a besides Howland too.
I do too.
Do we want to just skip Holland? Can we all agree that Holland will be the Golden Boot winner?
That's who I chose, but yes, I
That's
have
what I got.
an alternative.
X, what did you think? You said Holland? Yeah, well, let's say other than Holland, Golden Boot. Patrick, you want to or Lewis, you said you had somebody already. You kick us off.
Salah.
Mo Salah. I like it. I like it. Let me make the little note here on my thing. Other than Holland. Mo Salah. It's a tough one. You got yours, Patrick?
Nunez.
With noodles.
I think he'll be better this year. I really do.
I do too.
They're obviously expecting Liverpool to score some goals.
Yeah.
So am I. You got one, X? I'm struggling.
Come on, X. You know you want to say it.
Blue always a blue, baby. I'm gonna go with Jackson.
I had that feeling. I felt it. I felt that coming.
Nicholas Michael Jackson.
I felt that coming.
Oh my god. You really these colors really don't run.
It would have been Nkunku had he not no, these colors don't run. I bleed you bleed blue.
Oh man. Other than Holland. Do I want to say Julian Alvarez? No. No, just because if City dominate, it could be another City player is all. I'm just joking. I'm backing my guy.
Yeah.
I'm backing my guy, Starboy, Bukayo Saka. Absolutely.
Saka was that was
Well, I'll kick off the most assists. I'm kind of excited about this one. Alexis McAllister.
That's a good one.
I've watched some of Liverpool's. I watched some highlights of Liverpool's games, and they're scoring mad goals. They put 3 past Bayern. They put 3 past in the last game they played, and McAllister was just playing people through.
Are we going to get rock and roll football again this year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's
That's
back,
exactly-
isn't it?
That's exactly what's happening. It's high pressing. They beat this most recent game. They were just in people's face and causing lots of turnovers high up the field. So I think McAllister is going to be winning balls high up the field, and just that one pass in, and Luis Diaz is gonna dunk on people. So yeah, I'm backing McAllister for the assists. What you saying, Lewis?
Bruno.
Bruno Fernandez
I think the armband is going to
or
do it.
Guimaraes? Are you saying Guimaraes or Fernandez?
Bruno Fernandez. The armband is going to do it for him. I think he's going to feel more freedom to do whatever he wants to do.
Fair enough. X, most assists.
Can we do the obvious? I'm gonna go with Kevin De Bruyne.
I almost put KDB. Yeah. I definitely.
I did and I erased him because I'm like, I'm not going to be a homer.
Well, here's what I said. Here's why I didn't go KDB was because Foden is going to be playing in the middle a lot, and I think they're going to be sharing that load assists, and so their numbers will go down relative to each other, but only by a little bit.
Grealish could, cross the ball in the air. He couldn't be the assist leader.
Is that your most assists, Jack Grealish?
No, I actually went with Trossard.
He was number 2 last year. I think he was second, right? I think he was second last year.
Yeah, I think so.
Love that shout. I love that. Absolutely. Yeah, you don't even need to explain that one to me. I get it. Come in, he had 1 goal, but like 11 assists or something.
Yeah, it was insane when he joined y'all. I fully expect that to continue. As long as Kai Havertz is not your 9. Because he will blow opportunity that's not wide open.
Bro, he is trash.
Even then, he might even blow it.
Don't remind me. You're not gonna have to remind me because Arteta. Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, we need to have a segment. What did Kai Havertz do this week?
Yeah, that's definitely gonna be the Kai Havertz gaff.
Well, he'll get the Gerard slip of the week most weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's the next prop. That should be the prop bet. Who's gonna get the Gerard slip of the week the most?
Oh man, that's
cool.
Well, close enough to
Is
that.
Harry staying in the league?
Yeah. He's going to West Ham, actually. So yeah, I think the next category.
He will definitely be.
Yeah. Next category we have most red cards. Now the reason I think it's interesting to have this one in here is because it's looking like due to these refereeing changes, there's going to be more and more cards, at least in the beginning. But I'm going with the obvious answer. The greatest center defensive midfielder that's ever played the game. Mr. Casemiro was the only person this season to get 2 red cards. There was a record low red cards this season in the Premier League, but Casemiro was the only one to do it twice, and those are straight reds. And so I'm going Casemiro to get the most reds.
I did too, actually.
Did we all go Casemiro to get the most reds?
So did I. Yeah. So
yes, I did.
Should we do other than Casemiro?
First one I picked
I didn't even have
picked out of this list when I saw most reds.
I actually read up a little bit to see if I could pick someone else.
I picked him first, and then I read, and it was still the same. I was like, "That's who it is."
So should we just not even do this category? Just not even do this category.
I can't think anybody else.
I can't think of anybody else either.
I was thinking maybe Joel Linton.
Ooh.
Maybe. But
I still think Casemiro.
That's probably still Casemiro.
Joel Linton. I'll do Phillips.
After first yellow. After a first yellow, Joel Linton reined himself in a lot last season. So you know what? We're just going to
Phillips if I have to do other than Casemiro.
Phillips? Who?
If I do other than Casemiro?
Yeah. Who's Phillips? Who are you talking about? Calvin Phillips from City?
He won't even be on the field. He can't get no reds if he don't play.
You know, Diego Costa is going to get more playing time.
No, I think he left. I think he's gone.
No, I think he's still there.
He's still there?
Oh.
Oh man. No, I think we'll just wipe this category. most Reds. Because it's definitely Casemiro for sure. But that'll definitely bleed us into the next one. Which manager is getting ejected the most? It's a close run thing, but I went Jurgen Klopp.
Me too.
What's I'm just going to type it in. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Mine?
Either one.
Arteta.
No, he's not frozen.
Arteta.
Yeah, you both said it. You both said what I thought you'd say.
I might be. Yeah. Yeah.
I have
it's
a different one.
Oh, you're not saying Arteta, Lewis? I thought you
I'm
would.
not.
Really?
I thought about it really hard, and after I watched the game, I think he's gonna rein it in because he needs to know. But I got another guy who's gonna feel some pressure this year. Pochettino.
Poch.
I promise you. I promise you, he's gonna. There's work to do at Chelsea. He's gonna be pissed off a lot.
It's gonna be fun to see that.
I was actually thinking if I didn't go with Klopp, I was thinking Thomas Frank.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of frustration with that Brentford team.
Yeah, for sure. I can agree with that. Yep. But yeah, I just think Klopp is
He's so
Klopp is gonna be the last to kind of adapt.
He's gonna be
Animated.
he'll get thrown out though.
Yeah.
He was
for sure.
animated.
Not him.
Yeah. Yeah.
The last of the proposition predictions, the Golden Glove, which is defined as the most clean sheets. I went Nick Pope.
Nice.
I thought about it for a good while. I figured maybe Ederson, maybe, but yeah, I got Pope.
Last year was the first time Ederson had won it in like 3 years.
Yeah.
But I went with Pope too. But the reason I went with Pope is because I think Newcastle will be really good.
Yeah. Somehow De Gea won last season.
He had 18.
I don't know how that happened.
I think Pope had 14 or something like that.
Yeah.
Pope was up there.
What are you saying, Patrick?
I went with Ederson. I think that the City's defense will make him look better this year.
Oh, I can agree with that one. What do you think, X?
Those clean sheets.
Golden Glove, yeah.
Didn't De Gea win this last year?
He did.
You don't even have to be a good team to win it.
I mean, Kepa wasn't far off from it.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
What are you talking about?
He was like in
Alex-
6th.
There's
No.
no way, Kepa.
Oh no,
Dude,
saves per
scored
game. He was
every
in
game.
third saves per game.
Yeah, shots.
Yeah, for sure. I want to say Allison off the rip, but I know Liverpool are going to play this bang ball this year.
Yeah, they're gonna give some goals, I think.
Nick Pope's a good one.
That's what Lewis and I went with.
That's a good one. Onana's going to give up mad goals if he keeps
gonna
playing.
Chip from halfway.
Yeah. Ederson's a really good one because City has four starting lineups on their bench. So
I also think that Ederson's
I think
a good
Ederson
one because he knows he can lose his job this year.
yeah.
Yeah, because Ortega's breathing down his neck for sure.
I'd go Ederson. Let's go Ederson.
All right, there you have it. Ederson it is. So, are we just gonna say each correct answer here is an extra point when we come down to it at the end of the season?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. There we go. All right. There you have it, folks.
Kepa was ninth. Kepa was ninth.
9th in clean sheets?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
told you he wasn't bad.
No.
He's ninth.
Yeah.
I said
All
7th.
right.
I was off by 2 spots.
2 spots.
Yeah.
Well, all right, there it is. The preseason predictions are in. We are certainly looking forward to the season. It's coming up very, very, very soon. And if you are as excited about it as we are, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and get that notification bell on. Thanks for listening, and have a good night.